Lafia, and we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And how is everyone doing today? I'm going to get over here closer to the light. Know if you can see me better here. Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Uh, as you can see, the topic is how will the government shutdown affect African Americans? Or shall I say, now that the government is shut down, how has it affect the African Americans? I am your host, Omi Inca 7, and I'm coming to you from Omi Inca's production studio. And ladies and gentlemen, I know that we are in perilous times and that a number of us are now being tested. Our faith is being tested. We're up against major financial crisis. And a number of us who are African Americans who have been living below the poverty level and who have been functioning and literally existing. I can't say that for the middle class people and how this shutdown will affect them, but what I can say is that African Americans, this might be the best thing that have ever happened to us because we have been looking for our independence for a while now. And it's now time for us to lean on that which we have always talked about, you know, my God this and my God that. Now it's time for us to test what we say we believe in. We are to call God to all the promises that He's made to us, and we need to try. In our scriptures, we have been rattling on about, I know my God will always be there. And this is a time when He said to call Him on all His promises to Him and to command Him. And I'm saying to those who are faith believers like I am and who stand on faith and know that there's a higher force, that calamities may come to us throughout our lives in the community, which we have no control of, in the economic government. And we as African Americans have been a part of something that's really, really grand, and that's suffering. And suffering builds perseverance, and faith also builds hope for those that believe for things they can't see. And we've always been believing for things we can't see and hoping for things to come to pass. So now is the time for us to test our faith. And yet, we've talked about, oh, the sky is falling, oh, they're shutting down, they're cutting off our food stamps. Guess what, African Americans? You can step away from food stamps. You can step away from any government subsidy other than your medical. Now, I know you need your medical, and if they're giving you medical, I say take it because you've earned that. But as far as those food stamps go, you go out and make your own keep, and you can take a job to compensate for those food stamps. And if you're on a fixed income, you can budget your money a little bit better and not have to take those food stamps. I pushed away from them. I refused to stand in that line to take what I know that I could produce out of my own means. I stepped away from it because you are being beholden to a government system. And guess what? They need to turn you loose now. We as African Americans need to be turned loose from the government to show them that we can stand on our own. So this might be a blessing in disguise. Yes, I know a lot of people are going to be put out of work who are working for the federal government, but they're going to soon look at that situation and see it's going to hurt the middle white class even more. Now, I know they need to pay those taxes so they can give them their checks and get the money circulating back in the system. But we as African American are not even faring well amongst ourselves. Do you know during the time of Jim Crow laws and during the time of the recession, we stuck together. And we did something called the bartering system. We exchanged a product for a product. Money wasn't an issue for us. We knew how to get by without money. Why are we making like money is such a necessity in our lives and we can't get by without it. Hell, you can exchange a 4-pack of toilet paper for some toothpaste. You have to come together now. God is forcing us to come together as a one people, as a us concept and a we concept, not a personal pronoun I. So we never should have parted from each other. We became independent and we became so far in distance. And now we got these damn smartphones. They're so damn smart, we can't even use them to pick them up to call one another. We don't even know how to come to grips with our mother and say, Mother, I will never be separated from you, no matter who says what. I know you were there in the hard time. I know you're going to be there again when I need you. And there ain't nothing you can do to prove to me that you're unworthy of a phone call or unworthy of me to network with you. You don't separate from your kinfolk. You don't separate from your parental guidance who guided you from your very first footstep. We got Negroes now that think that their money could make them bigger than family ties. Well, I got news for you. You better make acquaintance and renew your friendship with your parents if you are divided from them, with your sister if you are divided from them. I say make that phone call today, because I guarantee you, surely if you are sitting here and you have separated from your kin, you're going to need them when it's most preferable for you to talk to them. We don't have to depend on these doggone media systems that go out. You can't even get a message through. You constantly calling Facebook saying, hey, I can't message this person. What's the problem? They don't want you connecting in the first place, not with your kin. And you should know that. But you should be able to go on your ebook, write a message, or go and pick up the phone and say, hey, I was thinking about you. How you doing? This is an effort to push us closer together as a unified people. Look at how Aboriginals, indigenous people is climbing up on the charts. It's becoming the number one topic because we're not just trying to create a nation. We are clans, and we need to pull our tribes and clans together. You know why? Because I may have something you need, and you may have something I need. First of all, we need unity, and we need to know that when these perilous times are coming, you need to be able to access your family. You need to be able to see that they're within reach or driving distance. So in case you need to go and get little so-and-so or go and get little Pee-wee, you can access them. You don't live by yourself. No man is an island. And I don't care if she got hers and her family. You better get yours and your family, because blood is thicker than water. And I'm talking to somebody today because some of y'all are not communicating. Some of y'all are not even in distance conversation because you got this fraudulent belief against that person. See, they've already separated us, where we oftentimes talk about our independent jobs and what I can do and what we should have been doing and how we can't get along with the family. Well, the Bible spoke of the fact that there would be enmity in the family, and the mother would turn against the son and the son would turn against the mother. It's already been spoken of. It's in prophecy. But we got to overcome that. Yes, we've got to overcome that. This is the time when your faith is going to be tested. And should it be shattered? No. We have to come off of this thing about someone owes me an apology. When you come into agreement that you're going to squash whatever it is, nobody owes anybody any apology. At that particular point, you've both been equally hurt. But when you agree to squash it and put a lid on it, walk away from it and step up with your dignity and rekindle your relationships. Because right now, these doggone smartphones are coming in between good communication that families need to be having about their grandchildren, about what grandmothers can do for their grandchildren. Some of these young people are not looking at the fact, if Johnny's not faring so well in school, take him to grandma. She know how to fix it. I know grandma can fix it. because she fixed it for me. Take him to grandma. Ain't no amount of schooling that's going to make a little black boy into a black boy. A female ability to make a little black boy act right in the classroom, she might not have any act right in her to get it through to Johnny that he got to sit down. But grandma can make him act right. Grandma can speak some sense into him because he loves grandma and he wants to be pleasing to her. So where is this communication going? We're losing our ability to communicate. And we're not calling each other enough to say, hey, did you hear the news? The EBT cards are not working and the people are fighting in Walmart. They're setting fires in the parking lot. They're going into Macy's and they're stealing. We're not communicating to let each other know how serious of a situation our economy has come. We're not even communicating about our dear president who is looking for support and votes to tell them, look, son, look, daughter, be careful of who you give your vote to. We don't know what the outcome of your vote may mean. We got a serious problem. How are we functioning during this shutdown? Are we getting food to one another? Are we seeing that each one of us have foods on our shelf in our family and that we can meet our next meal? Are we calling each other and say, are you lacking anything that I can get for you? Should I come over and give you some support? Are you well? How is your health? None of these things. These are the things that we were taught coming up in the olden days. And right now, God is forcing us to go back to them because he wants us to become one people, not a divided people in our hearts. And we are certainly divided now. And I'm glad that this shutdown has come at this time because it's going to force us to come closer together. Because when the real stuff hits the fan, there are going to be phone calls and the lines are going to be backed up. Because some of the family members are going to be trembling with fear and saying, what should I do next? I didn't prepare myself for the shutdown. I see FEMA is coming to my house and they're questioning me and they want personal information about my household. Should I give it or should I not? Should I allow FEMA to take me out of my home into some protective covering? No. You should come on one accord what your plans are when these things happen. Because if we stay shut down long enough, FEMA is surely going to knock on that door and we need to know how we're going to address it. But families are now being tested. They're being tried. God knows what he, she, or it is doing. He's causing these calamities that are being spoken of all over the land, and putting fear in the heart of those who are not believers. But for us who are believers, we will believe not because we saw it and not because he said so, it's because we're standing on the faith like a Shunammite woman, believing for things that we can't see. So we're being tried and tested. Yes, we are. And we have always had to make do of what little bit we had. And we have always managed to take those corners and make them meet, and stretching those dollars where we couldn't see a way. We couldn't see no way how, but we made it happen. And we became a better and a stronger people. If you look at the economy and look at the net worth of just Boston alone, and their $250 million of net worth per family, and their families that are struggling and getting by on $8 in a household, they've managed to make it. We've already made it, folks. You just don't know it. We've been eating fat back and greens and eating off of neck bones and making ends meet since the time we came up out of Jim Crow. What are we talking about? So what if they want to keep their food stamp? Mama may not be on food stamp. Go and trade her something else like tissue or toilet paper or toothpaste, and she'll give you something out of her freezer. What's wrong with us? We used to trade and barter for each other. We never put money at the top of our list. We were in a bartering category, and we did that well. The Africans even took cowrie shells and placed value in them and traded with cowrie shells as a note or a loan. We went to the corner store and they gave us a section of credit. And we paid on time if we couldn't come in there with credit card. What is wrong with us? This is a new topic of EBT, food stamp. We ain't always been on food stamp. Some of us got that government food and we called up everybody in the neighborhood and said, get what you want. I got what I want. And that's how we handle things. Everybody ain't on food stamps. And those who are not on food stamp, you go and buy your food and go to your neighbor and tell them you have excess and you have excess that you're willing to allow them to have. Feed the hungry, feed the poor, feed the blind, and feed the crippled. Because it is your responsibility to help your brothers and sisters by the bootstraps as well as in the kitchen. So we're not going to fall apart over this country so-called shutting down. Yes, our president has a right to make some decision, but he doesn't have the right to put us in a crisis like this. But now that we find ourselves in a crisis, we must learn how to adjust and learn how to eat bare minimum and learn how to set our diets. I did. I refused the food stamps. And I knew I needed to put myself on a diet anyway. And I managed those so-called fixed income so that there was always enough money left over after bills to buy food, and not just to buy inadequate food, but to buy food that has substance in it. We have to believe for things and stretch our faith, but we cannot go around here thinking that our money makes us into something. Guess what? They are now trying to hold down the value of gold and silver because they know that there is no value to the paper dollar. You may have dollar bills, y'all, in your pocket, but you might find that you're going to do nothing with them but plaster them on the wall, just like the Germans did in their time of a crisis. The dollar bill meant nothing. It had no value. So what are you going to do when a dollar bill has no value? Are you going to jump off of a cliff? No, I don't think so. You're going to pull together like African traditional treaties tells us to do. When they lied to us with all those treaties about giving us land and $150 and 160 acres of land, and they didn't give it to us, we didn't fall into a crisis. We went along the roadside. And we made our homes along the roadside, and we pulled ourselves up, and we learned how to crop and hunt for our own food. You're going to have to build inside gardens, and putting them together can be fun. You're going to have to learn how to crop above the ground for your food. This is going to make us more self-independent, and we won't be relying upon the government. We should have gardens anyway. We should have communal gardens. But this thing about not communicating worries me. It worries me because when there's a crisis, you must keep the lines of communication open. You cannot shut down on your father. You cannot shut down on your mother. I don't care if your sister owes you money, you must make contact with her. I don't care if your little brother made you angry, you must make contact. This is a sign to us black folk to tell us that we're not in harmony and communication with each other. I don't care if your wife said don't speak to her no more. I don't care if your brother said that he gonna hurt you and do harm to you. You must understand, you must break this curse. This is a curse from the Bob 2 man where they divide and conquer. You must understand that we're one people. And if you suffer, I suffer. And we're on one accord. And there's so much happening in the streets in the way of food stamps and a lack of money. We've never had all the money, and we've always been short of money. So what does that mean? That means that we're just going to manage our money a little bit better. And we have to remember our money doesn't make us. We need other things in life. We need the connection and the love of our elders, parents, to speak into our children's life. And we must allow them to speak into our children's life, because sometimes a mother and a father cannot even speak into their own child's life, and they must bring a neutral party in to speak into that child's life. And children are changing and wayward every day. So we must count on the fact that we will need an elder's parents to speak into that child's life. So don't shut the door to communication. The doors of communication should start coming open now. There is a government entity that don't want us to have allies with each other and communication with large families, because large families usually make it, because they're going to see about one another and they're going to stay connected, because that's what made them a clan in the first place. Now we're talking about identifying our ethnicity, our nationality, and our race. We have to understand that we know that we're indigenous people and we're African people. And that is the biggest topic on the scene today. But you got a lot of ignorant black folks that just want to be an African American. And what is an African American? And what has it done for you lately? The main thing we must understand is what we must remain the first world indigenous people who are tied to African ethnicity. And when we understand that, we'll be careful to wear our emblems that exemplify our dream weaver, that exemplify our headdress and our feathers. We must understand that being a Native American makes us a peculiar people, that we love our people, and that our child is at the center of the circle, being the most important thing to the family. And we must understand that we do the war dance, and we will make war if necessary, but our weapons are not carnal through the pulling down of stronghold. We must realize we are the people with magic in our hands, and we carry that gift by virtue of the fact that we have the ability, clairvoyant, to see what's up ahead of us. We've already seen the future, and we know that what's up ahead of us means that we have the power and we will win. And yes, we can, as our president said. We see into the future, and we know what our Sankofa past has taught us, that if we look at our past, we'll have some clue as to what is in the future for us. We know that the greater part of the suffering is over for us. We are now mounting up on over 400 years. And when a person has been pressed down so low, there's nowhere else for us to go but up. After the bottom comes the top, and we're on top now. How is it can we be fretting over some mere food stamp when we've got on top and we beat the system and come a long way of over 400 some odd years? What are you fretting for? We are on top now. And it says in the good book of Revelation, in the end, it says we win. So why are you fretting over a few EBT cards being rejected from you? You have to understand. Give him back his Section 8. God wants to give you a blessing. Now stand on God's blessings to you. Call him. Go to the Bible and call all the blessings. He said that you would be the head and not the tail. And you were the cornerstone that the foundation was built on. He said that in the end, that you would win. Go in the Bible. The promises are all there. Call out all the promises that he made for you, and you being the one that he created with the soul. He didn't give everything a soul. You were the one, not a kind of man, but mankind, who he put the soul in. You a soul sister or brother. How is it that you are wondering if you're going to make it when he has given you his likeness and his gestures too, his essence? You carry his essence and likeness, and he made you uniquely, where he allowed Oromola to sculpt to you, but he gave you the breath of life. So how is it that he's going to let a part of him, his breath of life, perish? He said he give you the mountains on the hill. He has the ability to give abundance. How is it that you can be short of money? How is it that you can be short of substance of food? It's no way you can sub anything. You're on top, African people. You're on top, indigenous, aboriginal. You're on top. You're getting ready to get over the grain house. Old things must pass away. But in his vessel, he puts new wine. He cannot pour new wine into an old vessel. He has to empty that old wine out. And now you're the new wine that he's pouring into the vessel. So you are the ones that's going to get on top and be on top and stay on top, because you're the new rulers of this world. What are you fretting for? Go to your brother, go to your mother, and embrace them and say, Mom, Dad, brother, sister, auntie, we're going to get on top. Don't fret you. You fret and you are fretting in good doings. Fret not those who have done good. But you must understand that you're now blessed down to the 1,000th generation. But to those who have cursed you and who have stolen from you, who have broken treaties from you, they're cursed down to the 1,000th generation. You need to be weary of what's going to happen to them. But here you are worried about a little substance. God, who has given manna to you and fed the little birds, if he's built nests for those who have no home, what do you think he'll do for you and I? We're the ones that remain faithful. We're the faithful ones. And let the redeemed say so. Let the redeemed say so. I have been redeemed. I've been redeemed. I have been redeemed. Yes, I've been redeemed. Let the redeemed say so. We've been redeemed, sisters and brothers. So as we look at this situation of being angry with our brothers and sisters, let not the sun go down when you have not apologized and loved your mother, your brother, your sister, because there's too many of us that are letting the sun go down on our wrath. Because God has a wrath too, and he has chastisement that he'll bring amongst us if we don't get our acts together. It is us that he's trying to speak to. And through all that we see that's going on, he's trying to redeem his children from this potential wrath that those who have done ages of sinful things. Some of them have sinned with their eyes and sinned with their mouth, and they've subjected children to sinning and trafficking human beings. All of this must be addressed, and there will be repercussions and consequences. And I say to you this day, don't you be the one that's caught not forgiving and not giving the go-ahead to your family to pull together to make a real tribal or clan of people. This is the time when we're being tested. You're not just going through this because it's hard time. We all are being tested, but our faith is being tested. And don't let your faith be tested and you found that you don't have enough measure of faith. God has given all of us a measure of faith, and he's given us enough faith to believe for things we can't see. But right now, our vision is blurred, and we can't see, but we can do the actual rituals to see what's ahead of us. We can clairvoyantly look into the future to see what the future holds for us. What will the outcome be? Our rituals will tell us that it's time to do ritualistic readings to find out what is up ahead of us, what calamities will fall upon us, and what is going to happen if this president doesn't move the right way. Well, we're going to declare that our president be in the hands of the Creator, and that the Creator will be guiding him to do the right thing. And in his intimate faith, I know that he relies on something greater than himself. If not, we're calling on the ancestors to speak and to indicate to him the right way to move. But right now, African people, you are so busy trying to integrate with those that have their own. I say, go and integrate with your sisters and your family and your brothers. How is it that you're integrating with those that are not a part of your clan? Go and integrate with those that are part of your clan. And if you have anything left that you could do for someone else, then do it. But right now, you need to lean to your own blood and lean to your own tribal people. But it's very important that right now, we are suffering from a lack of communication amongst ourselves. We are listening to everything on this news. Now we have the churches that are involved too. They must make a choice. They're part of the 501c, and they are being instructed to govern us, to get us ready so that they can lead us into these FEMA caps. We have to be very careful that we don't fall prey to that, where we go blindly like sheep headed for the slaughter into these FEMA camps just because our preachers told us so. We have to be really mindful of what is the preachers getting out of this. Now, preachers are being very quiet. They're not saying anything about what is going on in our government system. They're not making a mark, but yet they're tiptoeing around the subject. But we're going to have to hold them accountable to what instructions they have been given. But more than likely, they're going to give us some old hogwash about what the Bible said. We are living in a time of prophecy. It's no longer what is said. It is about the fulfillment of the prophecies that have been made. And there have been a lot of prophecies that have already come to pass. And these rumors of wars and wars that are out there. But see, it's hitting home now. You've got famines and famines of people without food right here in the United States. So we got a serious problem. But the most serious problem is we got too much technology, and the government wants to govern all of the energy and the frequency. And they're going to get that opportunity, I understand, through reading, is that they're going to monitor all the frequency and all of the energy. And you're only going to be, or we only going to be allowed so much energy per day, and it's going to be measured. We're going to be governed up under a strict rulership, and almost like a rulership that they had over in Europe. Europe has gone through its time now. Now we're going through the same difficult time like Europe. But nevertheless, us black people can make a change. Us black people could do something for each other. We've been the ones used to struggling. We've been the ones used to not having. So we are not going through a crisis. This is not a crisis for us. This is just another episode of our repetitive life that we've suffered through over the years. We know how to survive, how to feast and famine. It's those that have been used to having everything, like the middle class, who are going to suffer the most. But nevertheless, we will suffer too if we don't learn how to come together as a black people, as an indigenous aborigine, if we don't learn how to stop killing amongst ourselves and coming together and preserving life. But it's very valuable that you hear me on this, that our hard times are not over with yet. But as we become more like indigenous people, we'll be more interested in structuring ourselves and being able to become like the Geechee Gullah people and come together and live off the land and structure ourselves. Then God will be careful to bless us like he's blessed the Seminole Indians and the Geechee and the Cree people, because of them staying together and living off the land. And now they are being put to the test because they're people that are trying to take their land. But nevertheless, us people who are North Carolinians, who have family members from North Carolina, we ought to make arrangements to go there and to connect with those people, because I know my grandmother is from North Carolina. And I am very interested in what happened to the Geechee, because I am Geechee. And Geechee was not just a nation. They were a tribe of people. And the language, the Gullah language and the Gullah food and Geechee language was all one. And we have to understand that we weren't brought over on ships, all of us, to be slaves. Some of us were free people who are already here. And it's very vital that we should connect with our tribes now. Find your tribe and connect with them and reunite and get ready, because our weapons are not carnal through the pulling down of stronghold, but they're mighty like a two-edged sword. And we're going to be doing more with our rituals, understanding our Coptic records, how to read those records, and how to do rituals so that we can fight off this war that's against us. Now, thank you so very much for following me on this particular task. I do hope that you will follow me. Down below, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Omi's Production Studio. But how should we act now that the government is shut down? And how has it affected us as Africans? It has affected us in a way that we become stricken with fear, and fear is a low emotional threshold, and we don't own up to fear. And we must understand that when we have a hope, and our hope is on Oromala, our hope is on the highest creator, so that hope that we place in God, that he would revamp us out of this situation. And I'm not talking about where he comes into the church and rapture us. I'm talking about where he makes intercessions for us. You know, for the prayers that we don't know to pray, he makes intercessions for us, and he speaks on behalf of us and our ancestors. We call on today so that our ancestors can make intercessors for us, as what in our moanings and groaning and whatever we don't know to pray for, our ancestors will make intercession for us. And as I call on our ancestors today, I call on Oladulamare, who is the God of our earth. I call on Oromala, who is our prophet, that we kneel before him to ask to come here. We have a contract with Oromala. And as we ask Oromala to protect us and guide us in this crisis, we ask Oromala to bring us in close proximity with our loved ones and our family, and let us to reunite and be friends again and be on one accord. And we ask Ori to forever stay on our head and to present to us information, and for us not to lean on our own understanding, but to lean on his shoulders, and he will direct our path. And as we do this in this manner, we call on our ancestors, we say, Ashe, Ashe, so be it, so be it. And we will call on the ancestors, and we will begin to prostrate ourselves before our higher self, which is Olodumare. And we ask Olodumare to guide us today and to take us to the next level. Take us to the next level. Take us to the next level, Ola Dulamare, and help us to be able to see our way through this without fear and trembling, and help us to stand not on our own understanding, but on your understanding, and please direct our path. Amen. Amen. And thank you, people, for listening to Omi Inca's production studio. And please follow the leader. Go on Facebook and follow me. And also hit the button down there for the bell so you can see when I'm on the radio, on the YouTube, and you can be a follower. Thank you.